called a candy kebab cake. So we're going to use some really cool, colorful candies that you can fit on a stick, and we're going to make these candy kebabs and then stick them on our cake, which you can use for any kind of occasion. So let me show you how easy it is, and let's get started. Now, to make your candy kebabs, it's actually your choice of how you want to make your candy kebab. I decided to use a lot of colorful candy, but you could actually use chocolates and all kinds of things, which I'll probably do with some other cakes just like that. And what I did was I found a ribbon at my craft store that inspired me to get the colors of candy that I want. I'm going to use this ribbon to wrap around the bottom of my cake. Yeah, you can actually use ribbons. And to make my candy kebab, I decided to find colorful candies that would fit. Of course, you need a bamboo stick or some type of thin stick with a point on it so you can stick everything on. Now I'm using some fruit roll-ups. I bought some gumdrops and some dot candies. These are those Spongebob, what are those called? Crabby patties. These are those long sour strips that are awesome. And then I found these beautiful gummy butterflies at a local grocery store. And to accent on the side, I'm going to use some of these colorful hearts. And then on top of my cake, I just bought some of those nerds, which are really colorful and really easy to sprinkle on cakes. And then I'm also going to use an electric blue to actually make my cake a bluish color, so that just brings out all of the colors of the cake. All right, let me show you how we're going to do this, and let's get going. Well, let's first get started by making the candy kebabs. I actually already frosted my cake with a light blue sheen, but I'm going to let it sit for a while because the ribbon actually sticks better to the cake once it's a little bit dry and a little bit crusted over. So we're going to let that cake sit for about 20 minutes. So taking my bamboo stick, now I get to kind of make my array of my candy kebab. So first I'm going to take these sour strips and just kind of fold them so it looks like a little bow. And then just find the middle and stick it through. You always want to hold your hand at the top so that the stick doesn't break. Okay, I'm going to go about this far down. I want one that's a little bit shorter than the other ones. And then just kind of alternate colors. I'm going to use some white. And one thing I like about this is not every one is exactly the same. So it makes it really, really colorful. I'm going to take one of these little Spongebob crabby patties and stick that through like that. You got to kind of push a little hard. And then using my fruit roll-up, I'm just going to unroll it a little bit. Take some scissors. You can make it as long as you want. Just going to cut there. Unroll it. It does stick really easily, so it's really kind of fun. Now this is also a fun project that young kids can do. That they can actually make these. I actually showed this, if you were at the LA Cookie Con, I showed this at the LA Cookie Con. So thanks, if you were there, thanks for coming. I had so much fun. I love doing demos in front of large audiences so they can just be wowed how quick and simple it is to decorate cakes. And that's why I have my channel, just for that. All right, that one's getting hard to stick. Come on in. Now why that is happening is because the gumdrops from previous kind of made that stick a little bit. All right, I'm going to get some more colors. The more colorful, the better. And then I've got that really neat gummy butterfly to go right on top. So I'm going to stick that like that. And there I have 3 kebabs ready to put on my cake. All right, let me show you how we're going to frost that cake, and then we're going to put this all together to make a wonderful birthday whimsy party. I'm going to quickly show you how to frost the top and the sides of my cake. I took my regular buttercream frosting, which I'll link down below, and I added a little tiny bit of electric blue color. And I'm just going to frost the top and then frost the sides. And after I frost it, I'm going to show you how I quickly get those smooth sides. All right, now that I have it all iced, I'm just going to take my straight edge spatula on the blade side and just kind of smoothly go across, kind of glide like as if you're ice skating. And then you want to clean it off. And just kind of glide and swipe. And then you just do the same thing on the top. You just take that blade and kind of smooth it down. Now, oh, I got some pieces of shortening in there. I'm gonna have to take those out with a toothpick. Now that you have this all together, now we're going to let it crust over like I said before, and we are gonna put our ribbon on and then put our candy kebabs. And to make our ribbon to go around the cake, the best way to do this is to use the pan that you actually baked your cake in. Go ahead and take your ribbon. You want to make sure your ribbon does not have the wire in it. And give it a little bit more room because of adding the frosting. So I always cut where there's not a line, so you're ending with a perfect design. Okay, and then what you're going to do is basically stick it on the cake very nicely and just slightly dab. Not too much because you don't want to create an indentation. And you're just going to go around. And this is such a nice little touch. One is it gives it a lot more color. And the other thing is then you don't have to use a tip to create a border. You just have to use ribbon. And the nice thing is you find coupons and then you get the ribbons on sale, which is always so nice. And there, we're gonna match it up just like that and tuck it in. Now, since that is the back of my cake, I wanna make sure when I start to decorate that I decorate from this point down so that you don't see that back of the ribbon. Just a little trick. Look how cute the cake is turning out, I love it. So all I did was I added those little heart quins that I found at the craft store. How cute are those? They taste like sweet tarts, so your kids are gonna love them. Now I'm just gonna take my Little Nerds candies, which are edible sprinkles that you can just sprinkle on top of the cake. And now we're ready to add the kebabs. Now, if you're going to write on the cake, then you wanna make sure that you don't put all the sprinkles all the way around. Make sure there's some room to write. And then now we get to add our, I like to do things in threes. So I'm going to add these two in the back. How cute. And then I'm going to add the other one. I'm going to actually break this off. Actually, let me see if I need to break it off. Actually, no, I think it'll be fine. And there you have your candy kebab cake. How adorable is that? And it's lovely because you can see it all the way around. All right, thanks again for joining me today. We will see you next time. And remember to stay sweet and simple.